All right, I'll ask Ms. Swagger and Mr. Wilson to step up, and we'd be willing to take questions at this time.
Dr. Lee, a lot of people will hear, and when we were tweeting and Facebooking this earlier yesterday, we're getting responses like, the school board has lost all credibility. How could they be asking for this again? Is this reality, or is this scare tactics to get that tax passed?
Well, that's a good question, but it certainly isn't scare tactics. We have the pending disaster coming when the $26 million goes away. If you've had a chance to study the initial plan, you'll note that many things there are impacted, and it's prioritized, again by me, not by our board at this point, but it's prioritized with the concept of trying to stay as far away from impacting students and then from impacting employees and impacting communities as we can. But this is not a scare tactic. This is reality. There is no money to make that up if the penny tax goes away.
Do you have a public relations problem that we're hearing that a lot of people think this is an additional tax? This is an extension of the sales tax that's already on the books.
It is not an increase. It's not an additional penny. It is simply a request that we keep the penny that we have now. No new funds. It's just simply continuation of the current funding. The progress we've made is based upon the existing funding today. The existing funding today includes the $27 million that's raised by the penny tax. And with that money, we've been able to do some unique things in our school system. Should it go away, that progress will end.
And this may be a question for Mr. Wilson. We've come off 2 record tourism seasons. We've got VP settlement money. There's money that's being pumped into, and I know we've had the cuts, but kind of give us an idea of how that's not jiving.
Well, it has been better, but as you can tell, we're still haven't really recovered like we would like from the recession, and a lot of these past couple years have been just to make to make up the ground that we lost from the oil spill.
And I would also tell you that the ad valorem receipts are going to continue to decline at this point because the value of property is going down. In research study after research study across the nation, one of the things that they have concluded is that when you have good schools, when you invest in schools in a way that makes them a quality school, property tax or property values will go up. And so it is in everybody's best interest that we continue to have great schools in Baldwin County.
One last question. When you were breaking the news of this plan to the staff and to the teachers and all, their reaction, what was the mood like in that room?
Well, I wasn't in the room with all of them, but I made it a point to call the principals of all 8 schools that are potentially looking at closure. And I will tell you that they are the most gracious people that I've ever interacted with. I was in Florence yesterday bragging about the quality of people that we have. They are people who will get the job done, and they have a positive attitude. And they have a good reason to be positive because we're going to get this tax passed. We know that the people in Baldwin County value education. We know that they make the link between quality schools and a quality of life. And I'm confident that we will get this passed and we'll go forward.
Another question that I get is, how are you threatening to close schools when you just bought laptops for every high school student?
Well, first of all, I would tell you that the expenditure for the laptops is a very small part of our total budget. The digital renaissance is costing us about 1% of our total budget, and you can well imagine that to replace the money that was spent on digital renaissance would not begin to make the gap closed. It costs us $202 per year to put a laptop in the hands of a student. $202 per year is a very small amount. It's actually about 3% of what we spend on a student annually. The prediction from studies that have been done across the country where there are one-to-one computer initiatives is that we will recoup the investment because we'll no longer be buying textbooks. And I would tell you that that's an initiative at the state level. I was just, as I mentioned, in Florence yesterday, and the state has an initiative to provide technology to students across the state. It's also a federal initiative because people at all levels recognize that technology is so important in the classrooms. we can't stand the thought of being second best or being behind the rest of the state or the rest of the nation. So when people consider that the expenditure for laptops was exorbitant, they don't have an understanding of the economics of it. Textbooks today cost any place from $125 to $200, and we'll be able to save money there, and on copy paper, on remediation of students who are successful. So it's a matter of economics, and it's a matter of providing the best education.
We'll pick up November 7th if this tax hasn't passed. We'll release that sort of
If that should happen, we would not see those that list go into effect right away, because we would have to go ahead and continue out and make sure that we had everything covered. There would be incremental changes that would begin immediately, though, because obviously we would need to do all we could to economize.
Is it a challenge to have it on the ballot, the general election? Strategically, invest in progress, campaign, is that a huge challenge? There's so many other amendments.
We're pleased to be able to take it to the community and have them support it. We anticipate that that will happen. That it's on the November ballot is not an issue for me. I think we'll be successful.
And again, earlier on when we were discussing all the issues, there was some, say maybe raising property taxes, admiral taxes would have been a better option. Can you talk about, I mean, would that be an option if this does not pass in this coming weeks?
All of the people on the countywide funding task force that's part of the coalition of foundations that have been working to improve our schools had the opinion that it would be preferable to have an increase in ad valorem or property tax. However, when we did a survey last spring and inquired of citizens in Baldwin County what they would support, they would not support, in their response to us, a property tax increase. As a matter of fact, the preponderance of people who responded said that they would support the renewal or keeping the penny tax, because they recognize that not only do they contribute to the quality of schools, but people from other places who visit our county contribute to the quality of our schools.
Can you explain, one of the things on here is to eliminate the coaches supplement, so how does that mean no athletics? They people wouldn't coach if they didn't get paid?
Well, first of all, if in fact the penny tax should not pass, one of the first things we would have to do is we would have to non-renew those folks who are newest to our county. In many cases that involves athletic coaches. It involves, in some cases, band directors. And the reason we would have to non-renew them is that if we're going to reduce the number of personnel, we're going to need to be able to move people out of jobs who have been in our county for decades into other jobs. Coaches receive a supplement, and on an hourly basis it's very, very small, but it does keep them coming to work, and we don't anticipate that many of them are going to be willing to put in the many, many hours that they put in every week for no remuneration. Have I asked them that? No, I have not, because I don't anticipate that we will have to do that, because I'm confident that we'll get this penny tax passed.
How many total positions do you think you lose?
I can't give you that number at this point. If you follow the plan, you can begin to accumulate those numbers.
Any other questions? All right, we're done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.